Alexa, you're up. Good. And Booth here.
Morano here.
Sorry, I was on mute. Anderson present.
And Rainey present. So we will begin our long agenda with an update on the Thoreau unfortunate fire.
Laurie, you're on mute.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Jared to give us a little background on where we are with the repairs and cleaning and all of that. And then I have a programmatic update after talking with Angel for quite a while the last 2 days. So Jared, I'll let you go.
Very good. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Good. All right. As you know, on the evening of Monday, June 28th, we had a fire in the
Jared, could I just ask everybody to mute? There's a little background noise and I'm not sure who it is or what it is.
Great. So we had a fire in the 1994 wing of the Thoreau School. We were alerted by the alarm company about 5:42 p.m. The entire wing is not usable due to the extensive water damage, and we expect 8 rooms to be offline for the foreseeable future. Fire damage was limited to this area and was caused by a unit electric heater located in the attic. The attic space where the heater was located was generally inaccessible. Based on the evidence, the fire damaged heater was the only viable heat source, and that caused the fire. The fire department team deferred the specifics of the heater failure to the insurance provider investigator, so we'll find out more about that. We are working with ServiceMaster, RebuildX, United Service Adjustment, Inc., all of whom we worked with on the fire at the high school a couple years ago in the summer of 2018. ServiceMaster was actually on site on Monday night, even before I was. And once they received authorization, they started working on all the cleanup, getting the water out, etc. They also worked with RebuildX, and they secured the roof, the large hole in the roof that night. Right now, we're looking into 2 office trailers for staff, for meetings and lunches, so we can try and keep all students at Thoreau. Last week, testing was done to make sure that there were no hazardous materials in the building. Tests have since come back negative. A dumpster was delivered in all classrooms. Rugs were removed. 8 of the 10 pods were delivered, and we expect 2 more by Friday. They also drilled holes in the classroom cabinets to see what they could dry in place. They started assessing damage after they brought in a scissors lift, and they are also working with a roofing vendor right now. This week, a 3D scan of the building, all the classrooms was taken, so we know the setup of the building and connectivity to classrooms.
Jared, we're having a hard time hearing you. Maybe the mic could get closer to you. I don't know. So Jared's on vacation, so that I'm gonna be patient with him, trying to do this from somewhere.
So can you hear me now?
Much better.
A 3D scan of the building was taken, so we know the setup of the building and can ensure that the classrooms get set back up the way that they were prior to the damage. Over the next 3 days, ServiceMaster will be on site. They'll be logging items and going over what they can clean and what they cannot clean. By Friday, we will have everything logged and labeled. At that point, there will be a large moving crew in on Saturday and Sunday to remove all the items. They will also get the lockers moved out. All non-salvageable items will be sorted and moved out to an area that they can be reviewed prior to any sort of disposal. RebuildX right now is working on the separation wall, and that should be complete, I think, even today. I'll have a status update on the truss inspection. The roof inspection that has been completed, and we are looking at a total shingle replacement at the absolute minimum. Depending on the truss condition, we may need to remove part of the rear roof slope, which could lead to more shingle replacements. As soon as they know, they will let me know. So if all things do go as planned in the next 2 or 3 days, we should start through Sunday. We should be able to start the demolition by Monday.
So I'll just add to that. You heard him mention the thought of keeping all the kids at Thoreau. I've spent a good amount of time with Angel yesterday and again today. I'll talk you through what we vetted for options, and that started immediately last week. We did vet options to bring modular classrooms onto the property. It's not as simple as it sounds. So there's infrastructure, there's delivery time. A lot of the vendors we're working with that Jared referenced named challenges that often occur with getting them on site on the time and date you expect, and then being prepared to operate. So there's a lot of question and concern as to whether we'd actually be able to have that ready to go for the start of school. And that's obviously a big driver for us in terms of control and predictability here. So we're definitely leaning away from that option. We also visited Peabody yesterday morning. Mr. Cameron's able to free up 5 spaces there on the first floor. We visited those 5 spaces. Angel had pretty immediate concerns just about the suitability, just in terms of the readiness for an elementary kind of model. Not impossible, but all of these are bad choices, right? We're trying to pick between the best of not good options. In talking more on logistics of specialists and how we would get art, music, those kinds of things to them, the specialists would have to push into the room when they arrive. There's no space for them to set up an art classroom for Thoreau. And then also the challenges of transportation and you lose flexibility. We're hearing from the vendors, some of those rooms are going to come online sooner than others probably because they're not as significantly damaged. It's kind of all or nothing with Peabody. It's harder to be as fluid. So that's a limiting factor. And we have concerns over community and culture of how it feels to have 5 classrooms of kids and staff in one setting. And, the middle school can relate to this in an ongoing way, how it feels to have them separate from the rest of the Thoreau population. So then Angel spent time looking at what the options were within Thoreau. And this is the option we're preferring, and the one we'd like to go forward with. Again, comes with compromise. So we would be looking at how to manage the space within what we have. I don't think we're ready to publicly give out those level of details. She's certainly working on it and sorting that out. But everybody gets to stay together. We know some of our COVID approaches might be doable options in terms of just getting creative and flexible and utilizing space in different purposes. So perhaps COVID set us up for a flexible way of seeing things that we didn't have before. But that's what we think is the best for the kids, is to stay together. And we can share more of that as the plan gets firmed up and detailed. We are feeling some timeliness in terms of communicating that for both staff and parents and kids, that they know where they're going to be, even if we don't have a whole plan evolved, that telling them that's what we're going to do seems important. So that's where we're at. We did talk with the CTA about all these options earlier today, and they're in agreement for the choices as we have, working through the options at Thoreau with the whole staff engaged. Surprisingly, this is not what I would have thought I'd say a week ago, that feels like the best choice that we have at the moment. And we'll spend the next weeks planning and preparing. So that's.
Lori, did I hear it correctly that that plan would be predicated on 2 modules for lunch space and meeting space?
Yeah, we were looking for a little relief. What we did learn in the modular conversation is that it's much simpler to get some of those office-like structures, and they're smaller. And we could put those right on the area by the basketball court. We have enough pavement to manage that, which is different when you don't, which we wouldn't for all the we need so many others if we were to try to replace all the classrooms that are offline. So we're looking for some adult space to relieve a little of the congestion we're going to have, which obviously we're also feeling it's different to only have adults out there than have to navigate something the kids, like, for example, we don't have to get a bathroom out there if we know it's just adults. If we have little kids out there, we're going to feel pretty pressed to try to figure some facilities out, which is a big difference in the modular setup. So that's today's thinking. It's pretty fresh, and the assessors and vendors are just getting back to us as to what the options are today. But yeah, a little bit of a relief valve.
So I would only ask that the teachers think long and hard about whether they would actually use a mod if they had to leave the building and head
Sure.
out to
Sure.
an independent building,
Yep.
or whether they'd quickly find alternatives under their own roof. Just as a practical matter, I'm wondering.
Right. And the trick, a little of the chicken and the egg keeps getting us. I think that we would need to communicate to them how we're using all the spaces so they would know what was available. I hear your point though, Court. We don't want anything unused. It is all insurance payment, but nonetheless, we want to be careful on that. So we'll have to probably know what the lead time is and inform the staff on what we're planning, so then they can weigh in on whether they would use the space.
Mhm.
Yeah. Today is really just trying to figure out what the options are. So
Sounds like
Appreciate
better news than we anticipated a week ago.
better and it's going to come with some compromise for sure. But yes, it could be a lot worse. I think we're hopeful they may get another classroom or two online before school starts, but we can't be sure of that. So we're going to plan for worst case. It could have been a lot worse overall, right?
Good.
So anything else today? We can bring updates.
Cynthia, you're on mute.
So do we have options as far as materials replacement? I know some might take longer than others, but at the end of the day, maybe it's worth waiting for the right materials in terms of flooring, et cetera.
Yeah, so we're still in the beginning. I think right now we're just trying to figure out how we can get everything moved out. And then once they start all of that, the demolition, probably even next week, we'll be starting about that. What are our options? And then they'll give us a full assessment of what even needs to be done. We don't even know that.
But like, for instance, lockers, you don't necessarily have to replace them with exactly the same lockers,
Correct. Yep.
right? So
And
we
same
can
with,
maybe,
carpeting, we don't want carpets in there,
right,
stuff like that. Yeah.
yep, okay.
I have a question. When, just given that it's the 1994 wing, was there any assessment done to determine whether, like, some of the aging infrastructure, whether if we're going to open up walls and ceilings, if there's any efficiency to be gained with not obviously using insurance money, but using capital expenditure money to sort of get in and do it while it's open? Or is there no need for it? Or was that at all assessed?
Laurie, I think right now, I don't think there's a need, truthfully, just because it's just that wing. But Laurie, I don't know if you're thinking any different.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to take it as it comes. We'll certainly do some of that review if we are, all our people are going to stay really close to the project, and they've already said they need that. Technology, for example, is one. There's a lot of infrastructure. Those of you who came to the school could see right there in the soffits, there's tons of infrastructure there. I can answer in one example, like the fire chief said, please don't put that kind of smoke detector back. You need the long laser beam kind that would trip much sooner than something way high up in that cathedral ceiling. So we are going to be thoughtful about it, because to your point, what I think I'm hearing is we're not going to open this wing up like this again any time in the decades to come. So let's be sure we're doing it thoughtfully.
I mean, certainly it's a balance between getting the classrooms open and
Right.
exploring those opportunities that might mean a year-long project, which we don't really have the luxury to do.
Right.
Yeah.
That wing does look like the result of good construction and good maintenance
Mhm.
overall.
Yep.
So more to
Alright.
come. We'll update you as we go.
Is the school committee all set with this agenda item? Because I think that is our only item.
It is.
We didn't have citizen comment. I would entertain it if somebody had a citizen comment. I don't see.
Just in public, if I could
Great.
offer my deep gratitude to the Concord Fire Department, Concord Police. We had mutual aid from probably at least 5 communities over here that night. And just immediate responsiveness across all the town departments, and just feeling really well supported. And a shout out to our vendors who are also being really responsive, but conscientious that they're working in a school. So we're feeling
Certainly
well.
second that. Yeah. Vendors have been amazing. Their communication has been 3-4 times a day with me. One thing I did not mention that I should have mentioned is we will still have tents in the fall, so that will be an option as well.
Great. So again, one more chance. If anybody has a comment, raise your virtual hand. And we do not see any comments. At this point, then, I would entertain a motion to enter executive session.
I move that the Concord School Committee enter into executive session under purpose 3 of the open meeting law to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Concord Teachers Association and not return to open session.
I'll second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Anderson, I.
Booth, aye.
Morano, I.
Rainy eye. I'm not used to the new order. Lori, are we going to have a new link to go into executive session or?
I'm going to send you into a breakout room.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll see you at the end of July.